When it comes to my gaming habits personally, I've always found myself kind of balancing single player and live service slash multiplayer games for my entire gaming career, as I'm sure most of you have. It's something I know a lot of people do. They'll play multiplayer games at certain points, and then they'll play single player games when they have more time, like over the weekend. And it's a great balance to strike, for sure. I think that when it comes to playing live service and multiplayer games, if you're playing them with your friends, absolutely, that is a great thing to do, and it's sometimes the only and the best way to socialize. I have friends that live across the country, or even for a while lived in other countries, and I would play games with them as a way to connect with them and to stay in touch while sharing a similar experience with them. And it's so fun. It's one of my favorite ways to hang out with my friends. You know, when I was young growing up, one of my favorite things to do was to have people over and to play games side by side on a couch, even if we're not gaming together, even if it's not a co-op game, just experiencing that game together. And so when it comes to the multiplayer, the live service games, and playing with your friends, that's not really what I'm talking about here. I still really enjoy doing that, and I think that's a valuable thing to do. I think it's one of the best parts about gaming, and specifically modern gaming, is the online multiplayer aspect of games. I know we trash on modern gaming all the time. When it comes to multiplayer modern gaming, I really think that it's a special part of this gaming we have today that I never had as a kid, really. What I'm really talking about is multiplayer and live service gaming when you're solo queuing, when you're going home and what you're doing is logging on and playing a game of Rocket League, playing a game of Fortnite, playing some Madden, some even sports simulation games I'm putting into this category because I realized that these are all games with no end. Now I know this is quite a powerful statement because in a way I'm coming at the cozy gaming genre. I'm coming at the simulator genre. This is a dangerous path I'm treading down, but really what I'm getting at here is that what I'm so worried about all the time is how I'm spending my time. I'm talking about MMOs as well. As cool and mind-blowing as I think MMOs still are to this day, I still find them so fun. I'll still hop into them. Maybe not after this video, after what I'm talking about. It really comes down to those type of games though, where it's the games that don't really end, that you're online playing with someone else and experiencing another world, but you're solo queuing, which was specifically what I was doing in my experience. What I would do, I would come home and I would say, okay, I'm going to play Rocket League for a bit. And so I would play Rocket League, and then I'd find after an hour and a half, I realized that I had just spent up my entire gaming session. I'd had plans to play, you know, right now I'm playing Cyberpunk 2077, which is awesome, by the way. I had plans to play that, but after the hour and a half, life had caught up to me while I hadn't even been looking. I'd realized I still had so many chores to do. Dinner was right around the corner. I needed to help with something else, or we needed to go somewhere. There were so many things that I hadn't accounted for, but I was so, not desperate, but so full of desire to play this game to kind of get that dopamine hit that I can only get from those type of games. And in a way, it even extended into games like Madden, where they're games that I just log into to play a couple of games in my player, but I'm not really getting anything else out of it. I do think that cozy games are different than sports simulation games for me. Because when it comes down to sports simulation games, you're really not getting anywhere. Yeah, they're fun as balls, but when it comes down to it, even cozy games are providing more of, even though they're not ending, providing more of an interesting experience where you're kind of learning about yourself, you're getting a break. Sports games to me, as much fun as they are really all about those dopamine hits. When you score that touchdown, that's why you want to do it. You want to get the touchdowns. You want to get the 10 touchdowns a game and break records as your my player. Or if you're doing the franchise mode, you want to get the undefeated season and get the Super Bowl. Whereas in cozy games, your dopamine hits are minor. They're in the everyday moments. And to me, I just think that that's a healthier pattern for how I play games when it comes down to it. Because I can kind of balance that out better than just going on to Madden or going on to these Rocket League or whatever I'm going on to and trying to balance that desire for dopamine that is so subconsciously buried in me from playing these games for so long. Something I always used to do with Call of Duty as well. It was always fun, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm not having fun. But when it came down to it, I'd realized that what I value more than even fun, which sounds crazy, is a good experience, is a single player story, or even a co-op story. It's a story where I'm experiencing something new, because that's my favorite way to play games. To experience something new, to learn about myself, to learn about a whole new story, to add something new to my catalog. Because I will just find myself playing hours and hours of Rocket League, Fortnite, these multiplayer Warzone. I will find myself doing that and I will never experience something new. And at the end of the day, I just know that I'm going to be asking myself the question of why I played those games. Because when I play those games, yes, I'm playing for fun. But for me personally, something I always seek is reason, is meaning. That's just how my brain works, and it's something I always talk about on this channel. I'm looking for meaning. I have that desire inside of me. And so when I'm playing these games, I'm not getting meaning out of them. Besides learning about myself, as I always say, when I'm playing a game like Cyberpunk, or like I just played Pacific Drive, when I'm playing these games, I'm learning so much about a new story. It's making my brain think in so many different ways. But these simulation games, these multiplayer games, yes, there are tactical moments, and yes, you can always get better and there's strategy to it. But it isn't the same as sitting with yourself, trying to learn how to fix your car in Pacific Drive, and get out of a zone, and when you should leave, and surviving the environmental hazards. And it's nothing like in Cyberpunk 2077, when you're living out an entire wild lifestyle in that story, and kind of creating your own character and forming them as you wish, while making morally ambiguous decisions and trying to battle that inside of yourself. Those games online will never replicate that. And I want to be clear that that is not a bad thing. If someone's choosing to spend their time doing these, that is perfectly fine, and I'm happy for them. It's just in terms of how I decided I wanted to spend my time and why I play video games in the first place, I started questioning it. And that's when I came to the realization that I need to stop playing these games if I want to get the experience I want personally out of games in general. It's that old saying, that old scenario that everyone always talks about, that most of us have even seen in our lives, which is a kid, when their parents tell them something, all they do is ask why. They just keep asking it over and over and over again. You know, hey, why does that light switch turn the light on? Well, because there's a wire connecting it and the electrical current is running through it when you flip the light switch. Why? And then you just, that alone, that one why after the first why is already like, okay, well, I'm way in over my head here. But so many times it's so valuable to do that ourselves in our adult lives, where we're asking why. And that's what I did here. That's something I always want to do, I suppose, to always try to become better and more curious about myself. I don't know. It's what I do around here. If you like that kind of stuff, if that's your mindset, subscribe. I always love to have those conversations with people, and that's really fun to do. We're all trying to get better, right? That's something we're all trying to do. But in terms of why am I playing these games? I realized for myself what it really came down to was that I am playing them simply for the chemical release of the dopamine. I couldn't find many other reasons besides just purely having fun. But in terms of playing them alone, even when I'm playing them alone, I would find that I'm playing them and I'm either listening to music or I'm listening to a podcast. And I started to, I was just so curious about why I needed this other stimulus to keep me entertained, to keep my brain going. What was going on? Why couldn't I just enjoy this game if it's really that fun? Why couldn't I enjoy it in silence or with the sounds of the game and the music that's inside of it? Well, that's when I came to that realization for myself. It wasn't about that. It was about my brain wanting something, and when I see that game's icon pop up on the screen, it's realizing, when I see that image, I'm associating it with a good feeling. I know that when I score goals in Rocket League, when I win in Fortnite, when I do whatever I need to do in any other game, when I get the touchdowns in Madden, I'm getting that good feeling that I was lacking in a strange way. And so now what I tell myself is if I can't play a game and have the headset on and just be entertained, I gotta step back. I gotta take a step back, ask myself why I'm so not okay with silence. At the end of the day, in a lot of ways, I think that those type of games can be valuable because they're kind of like a meditation. When you're just playing a game like that with no sound, it's kind of powerful. You realize, wait, this is actually kind of boring just throwing the same play in Madden over and over and over again. Or trying to get the ultimate team filled out. It's really boring. What am I actually seeking here? And that's when it comes down to the realization of yourself of whether you're actually having fun, whether that is something you find meaning in, and that grind is something you love the mental test of it. Fair enough, that's for you. But for me, that wasn't there. All of the Rocket League matches, which is the one I've been primarily playing the most, it just wasn't there. And that's when I realized I value single player experiences, and that's what I get more meaning out of. And if I'm just hopping from live service to single player game, that meaning isn't really there. I'm losing it. When I'm listening to podcasts, listening to music during playing a game, that's not there for me. It happened even in my first playthrough of Witcher 3. About halfway through, I started to listen to podcasts while playing it, and I just had this, I was disgusted at myself in a way. And I think that some of those things like that are such a barometer and such an important one to realize, maybe I'm not ready for this. Maybe I'm only playing because I need something to distract myself instead of trying to enjoy the experience. And that's what's so important. These are just things I think about, but what I've done now, as I've said, as is the point of this video, it's allowing myself to appreciate single player games and even multiplayer if I'm in the right mindset, which for me, I've just come to this realization that these live service, these multiplayer games and less with friends are just simply a dopamine fix for me. And that's not what I want out of a game. That's not what I want out of most things. I want meaning. I want experiences. And these games are providing the same shallow, for me, again, experiences that I'm not looking for. I want new stories. I want new characters. I want new gameplay. I want to learn about myself through having to learn new mechanics and struggling in so many ways. It's crazy. But again, my favorite thing in the world are mind and games, and something I'll always love to talk about. And I hope you guys do too. If you enjoy this type of stuff, definitely subscribe and check out some of my other videos. It's something I love to talk about, and something I'm always trying to get better at myself. Thank you guys for watching. It's always a great time. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching as always. See you next time. I already said that. Bye.